Spread the fire, welcome back to SMWX, and today I have a treat for you. He's your favorite analyst, and our last episode got over 1 million views. He's been exploring and unpacking all that's happening in South Africa, from the tragic crisis in criminal justice to the breakdown of governance and our economy. None other, fam, than Prince Mashele. Welcome back to SMWX, sir.
Thanks, Sizwe, and congratulations. You are very famous.
I think you made me famous. Wow, that 1 million episode was truly something. The reach of that was quite sensational.
Yeah, and I think we really must thank South Africans because we are doing this for them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have responded overwhelmingly. It's a favor they are doing us.
Yeah.
They took their time to watch our video. So I think that both of us really need to thank South Africans for their support. Fully
agreed. Recently, we've had the Madlanga Commission kick off, the ad hoc committee, and I wonder how you react to Senzo Mchunu's days of testimony. As we shoot this, he's just finishing off his testimony. This was billed as the time we're going to get to hear the other side. Some journalists were even saying, don't even wait. First, you have to listen to Mchunu and then you can make up your mind. Do you think he did anything to dislodge some of the serious allegations that have been leveled against him?
Look, the essence of what Mchunu has been doing in Parliament is this. He has been biting his tongue and trying very hard to dribble South Africans, to make us feel like we are idiots. He's the cleverest. I've been listening to radio stations, watching obviously what his performance and all of that. I know South Africans don't believe Mchunu. Full stop. I don't believe him myself. I think this chap is in the pockets of criminals and has been caught out. That's the gist of it. But there is something important that has come out of these commission's inquiries. Is this. It has confirmed something very troubling. That our country has been taken over by criminals. That the ANC has turned South Africa into a mafia state. We are now a mafia state. It has been confirmed from all of these inquiries. That for me is the most important and indeed the most worrying thing about all of the circus that is unfolding. And then the solution is, for South Africans, if you ever vote for the ANC again as a South African, you must know that the history is going to record your name as part of those who destroyed our country. So we need the ANC out of our government as soon as possible if we want to have a thing called a country.
What do you think that looks like in the future? What is getting the ANC out of government look like? Because I've been thinking very hard about this, given all the revelations we've had, and we're going to go into everything in this episode. But where do we go from here? Because the sheer scale of this criminality that's taken hold requires us to really reset South Africa. What do you think we do? Do we have an interim government? Do we go to early elections? Should the president resign? Do we need a new cabinet? What do we do to get ourselves out of this crisis?
Look, before we talk about elections, because elections are events that come and go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the substance. What is it that we would need to have in place in order to pull back our country from the brink? There are a few things. Number one, quite clearly from the inquiries, we have to confront criminals head on. And we must know as a society that that is going to be a war. They will fight back. So that's the first thing. So if you were to translate that into something practical, governance-wise, this is what I would do. I would appoint Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi to be the national commissioner in South Africa.
Sure.
So you need a man of that caliber.
At the top.
At the top. Yeah. Not deputy this, head of that, provincial commissioner. No. We need a man of that caliber. Or a woman of that caliber to lead the fight against crime. And we would need to give that man a special mandate. We say to the National Commissioner Mkhwanazi, we have a category of criminals that are a priority for our country. They are called political criminals. So we say, for example, anyone and everyone who was president, minister, deputy minister, director general, all the way to chief director, in particular focusing on procurement, from the Zuma years all the way to Cyril, is under investigation. And everyone who interacted with them in the criminal world, we have to follow and must follow the money, follow those people. We must get them into prison, all of them. Now, if we did that, just that alone would restore a lot of confidence. Cyril, if he's found to have committed crime, he must wear orange uniform without us apologizing. Mchunu, same story. So that's the first thing. Political criminals.
We need to root out that network once and for all.
Number two, we would need to address leadership. Because you see, we have a leadership crisis in South Africa. The people who occupy leadership positions are not the best of us.
In fact, they're the worst.
They are scoundrels. If you look at parliament, that circus called parliament, more than 80% of people who sit in parliament shouldn't be there. By the way, more than 80% of those people, by the way, can't even be your secretary, Sizwe. They can't write a letter. I can tell you. Some of them are illiterates. What do they want in parliament? Why do we have a bunch of idiots in parliament? So we must address leadership, and we need to be systematic about it. We must say, without apologizing, we need one, educated South Africans, the best of us, both black and white, into positions of leadership.
Competence.
Two, ethical consciousness. We need to find a way of measuring and testing that. To say, if you have done anything in the past, even if you're not arrested, that is unethical, you will not be part of this new regime. So that's a third thing. The second thing. The third thing is, and this is critical, we need to focus on quality education for black people. And I'm going to be very clear here, for black people. White people have built their own functioning schools in the private space. And by the way, they don't have chaos there. They don't ban their universities, by the way. So we need to focus on providing quality education to black people, because in the end, that is what is going to change the quality of lives for the majority of this country. And part of providing quality education is this: we must adopt a no-nonsense approach to anyone who disrupts education. Education must be declared a national priority. If you ban 40 hair, the law descends upon you. You will never come out of jail. In fact, by the way, it must be categorized as treason. If you ban an educational institution or even a clinic, by the way, you need to go to jail and never come back. Then we will begin to take ourselves seriously. Number four, the last bit, and this is the substance of how we rescue South Africa. Then we can come up and we'll talk about elections, because
modalities.
Exactly. We need to be clear in terms of the nature of our economy. Our economy must be market-based. In other words, we must not, this whole thing about socialism and nonsense like that has failed in the Soviet Union and elsewhere. Even the Chinese, by the way, they realize this thing has failed. They turned around. It has to be a market-based economy that is governed by a competent state. Once you have these two combinations, then things will work. So at a very high level, that is the kind of formula I think we need for South Africa. Then let's come to elections. I don't believe that we should have early elections. Because if we were to have early elections, when I look across the political landscape, I don't see a political party or a grouping in the current political arrangement that seems to be committed to what I'm talking about.
Sure, so we could just reproduce
We
the
can
same thing
reproduce
we have
the same.
now.
I mean, the same clowns go back to parliament wearing red overalls or whatever. They will change the colors of their overalls. So we need a period of building. But during that period of building, South Africans must be aware of this. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Our country is going to be governed by coalition governments. And I've said this before, for at least 15 years. But there has to be some project somewhere that is building towards what I'm talking about. And it's not going to take 2 years. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the key question for me as we think of how to reform South Africa and truly take it to a different place, because we've had so many false starts and false dawns, is, and I use the term dawn advisedly, is what do we do with the office of the president? Because it seems that constitutionally that is such a crucial institution. It has so much power under our constitution, and we keep getting that office wrong. How do we make sure in this building period that we put someone in that office that we can trust to have the best interests of the country at heart?
Look, where South Africa is, and this is going to sound a bit controversial, you need a strong personality to occupy that position.
Absolutely.
A lot has gone wrong that if you have a weak personality in that office, it's going to be very difficult to put the worms back into the tin. So you need a very strong personality who has two things. One, technically competent and educated. Two, ethical. I don't know who that person is, but at least those are the qualities that we need.
Fully agree.
You can restructure the authority arrangements that you have around the office of the president. But if you have a corrupt individual, the systems will not help you.
Absolutely.
So the problem in South Africa, it's not the design of our constitutional architecture. No. It is the problem of the human beings that occupy the offices. So we need to look among ourselves and have a redefined process of selecting leaders in such a way that we don't end up with a president who stuffs dollars in his sofa. That's our challenge.
It is.
That's our challenge. We must never be fooled by a suit. You see, Cyril Ramaphosa fools South Africans. He wears these shiny suits. He's got this polished English, and people thought they're the Messiah. We must dig deeper beneath a suit next time around, so that we don't end up with a sophisticated criminal occupying the top office.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, when we come to the current president, I mean, everything we have said is just being proved correct. This Morgan Maumela thing just shocks me. I mean, first, I'm shocked. First we hear, I don't know the guy. Don't call him my nephew. Then, a book comes out. He is his nephew. Then, okay, I walked past his house. Twice. I went to the gate. I mean, how... this is starting to sound like the Phala Phala story or the Bosasa story, where new things keep dripping out and the president is not being candid with the public.
Look, here's the thing about Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa is two things. He's a liar, number one. Number two, he's a professional denialist. Denies. And later, when he's caught out, and then he's going to weave another story. That's the essence of the guy. I mean, let's be clear. And I want anybody to challenge me. 90% of South Africans have lost confidence in Cyril Ramaphosa.
Fully agree.
I listen to radio stations, I watch social media, I go to weddings, I go to funerals. South Africans have lost confidence in Cyril Ramaphosa. Do you know who undermines Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership? Is himself. Because he lies. He denies. He acts like he does not know what is going on. I mean, this is a president who thrives on fake ignorance. Fake ignorance.
Yeah.
If there's something, the president says, I don't know. I mean, the president is supposed to be the guy who knows more than anyone in the country, because there is intelligence. I mean, he's client number one of the intelligence. So, but he always tells you, I don't know. So this guy is a liar and a professional denialist. To sum up, he is dishonest. We have a dishonest president. Now, South Africans need to search among themselves and go find a man or a woman who is going to be the opposite of Cyril Ramaphosa. We have been abused as a country. My goodness, we have been abused. We are sick and tired. And the thing about it is this. Just listen to the discussions, public discourse. We are no longer talking about development. We are no longer talking about economic growth. We are no longer talking about the quality of education. We are no longer talking about repositioning South Africa's economy so that it competes internationally. No, all of this stuff, which is about improving the quality of people's lives, has been pushed to the background. What are we talking about? We're talking about Ket Matlala. We're talking about Senzo Mchunu. All of this stuff doesn't take South Africa anywhere. And it's under the leadership of Cyril Ramaphosa. So Cyril Ramaphosa is a huge liability for our country. But I would not suggest that we should have an early elections. The Constitution says we need to have elections after every 5 years. We must never touch that principle. If you touch it, you will have your preferred president. And somebody, while the president is doing a good job, somebody will say, let's have an early election. So you don't want to establish a dangerous precedent. Even as I say that Ramaphosa is a disappointment, I will be the first to take up arms, by the way, in defense of the completion of his tenure in office. Because that, in a sense, is the defense of the Constitution. The Constitution is sacrosanct. Nobody must touch it.
So are you saying he shouldn't resign, or are you saying we should still have the election continuing every 5 years, but we should have a different person leading the government?
No. Look, resigning, by the way, is a call that must be made by his political party. Remember, he's president because the political party campaigned under him. So if the political party, his ANC, believes that he's a good president, it's fine. Let him continue. South Africans must just prepare themselves for the next elections to remove the ANC. Remember here, the problem is not only the president, Cyril Ramaphosa. The main problem is the African National Congress. So the ANC must not be removed from government through means that are not constitutional. So if they decide Cyril Ramaphosa is their best, let him complete his term. I have no problem with that. But South Africans must prepare themselves to take out the ANC.
Just feels like 2029 is a very far away. I don't know how much more damage we can take as a country.
Well, we've been taking damage. I mean, we come from the years of Zuma and state capture. We are used to being abused as a society. And there's something ironically good about what the ANC is doing. They are abusing us. Once you abuse someone, that person gets to a point where their back is against the wall. They can no longer move anymore. I think South Africans have reached that point where they can no longer move anymore. It does not matter where you are, whether you are in a shebeen or you are at a funeral. I can tell you, ordinary South Africans, black and white, now know the ANC is a party of criminals and thieves. So that verdict is now clear. Then South Africans must decide who is next. But that decision must be taken at an election which is in line with the constitutional terms that are enshrined in our constitution.
Let's come back to some of the revelations we've heard at these commissions, because we really do need to unpack them. I mean, just sticking with the president for the minute, it seems he's got all new headaches because he's got a lot of questions to answer now. Senzo Mchunu says he briefed him about disbanding the political killings task team a month after he took the decision, which is strange. But according to Mchunu, Ramaphosa at least knew in January, February. Morgan Maumela is linked to the likes of Kat Matlala through this Tembisa hospital? Could he be someone who's in the orbit of these criminals, and what is his relation to the president? What did the president know about the disbandment beforehand? What does he think now? There are this Richards Bay thing that came up. Why was the presidency calling for the police to go to a mine? There are just so many questions just on this thing alone, never mind Phala Phala and all of that the president himself is going to have to testify surely, and actually quite soon, because his name keeps coming up in this commission. Masemola says he spoke to the president and the president looked shocked. We just need to hear from the president. What was he doing when this thing was disbanded?
Yeah, he will tell you that I don't know. That's what he does. I mean, we can already predict I didn't know.
Yeah.
But here is the thing. And I've said this before. The president knew everything. The intelligence report to him. No one must be fooled that President Ramaphosa did not know. He actually did know everything. He knows Maumela very well. He knows their relationship. This whole idea that he didn't know, it's absolute nonsense. So the president did know. If he's called upon to testify, he's obviously going to deny. We know he's a professional denialist. But here's the thing, South Africans must not be fooled. The president is part of the criminal cartels that have taken over our state.
You think he actually has links?
No, I have no doubt about it. I mean, here's the thing. Mchunu has the backbone to dissolve this political killing task team without telling the president, and the president, inverted commas, learns about it a month or 2 months later. Why? Where does Mchunu get that confidence? Remember, it is the president who stood in parliament and made a commitment that is going to set up a mechanism. That mechanism was not set up by Mchunu. It was set up by the president. But Mchunu, a mere minister, has the guts to dissolve it without, inverted commas, telling the president. What does that tell you? It is because Mchunu knew that the president knows about the criminal shenanigans. That's why there would be no consequence if Mchunu dissolved a committee, a mechanism that was set up by the president. And what did the president do upon learning 2 months later that a minister had dissolved a mechanism that the president had set up? He did absolutely nothing. If I were president, I set up a crime-fighting mechanism, and then I set up an interministerial committee to deal with a crime. And I learned 2 months later that my minister has overruled me, has gone behind my back, and has dissolved my mechanism. Let me tell you what I would do. I would fire the minister. Was Mchunu fired? No. Why was he not fired? Because he is confident the president knows everything. That's my theory.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, the other revelations are quite something just in terms of the criminal syndicates themselves. The Madlanga Commission is now learning about the assassination of Armand Swart, this person who was supplying things to Transnet, and there was some middle company that then inflated the prices. This poor person is murdered in cold blood. The police arrive at Katiso Molefe's house, the alleged mastermind. They're conducting their operation, and then the Hawks come to disrupt a legitimate investigation. A helicopter's flying overhead. I mean, these criminal elements have the guts to control the highest echelons of the criminal justice system. I don't think we've fully digested this.
No, it's here's the thing. South Africa is a Colombia. South Africa is a Colombia. The criminals, this is how they operate when they construct a mafia state. One, they infiltrate the ruling party. That's the first. And that, by the way, that's the easiest entrance into the state, because generally political parties are poor. They don't have money.
Sure.
So what do? You donate money. Once you donate money, the political party is going to embrace you.
Yeah.
Because you are, inverted commas, progressive. The ANC has a criminal arrangement called the Progressive Business Forum.
That thing must be audited.
It's a criminal mechanism. That's how the cat gets into the ANC. He's a progressive businessman, which is nonsense. So that's the first thing. Infiltrate the ruling party.
Sure.
Secondly, that's step one.
Yeah.
Secondly, you know that this party is going to run the state. You have sponsored it during an election, and now it takes over the state. Once it takes over the state, you sponsor individuals who occupy strategic positions, especially the criminal justice system. That's how criminals work. So what do? They would build a wall around the house of a minister. They would buy a minister. They would pay for the school fees of a minister's children. They would pay for holiday. So holidays of ministers, including the secretary generals of a party. I mean, Balula went to Dubai. Somebody pays for that trip. That's how they do it. Once they have sponsored you as a minister, they are done with you. The next step is they will tell you who to release, who is in jail, and who to arrest, who is outside jail. And
who not to arrest.
And now they can do as they wish. They will sell their drugs. They will kill whoever they kill because they know that they are not going to be arrested.
Yeah.
The last bit is they make law enforcement agencies fight each other. That's why you've got a unit that goes to KT's house.
Yeah.
While they are busy there, the criminals say, hey, they are here. And then another unit comes to cause confusion.
Sure.
That's how cartels operate in Colombia. That's how cartels operate in South Africa under Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC. So let's just be clear.
Yeah.
We are now a mafia state like Colombia, thanks to the African National Congress and Cyril Ramaphosa. Full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Colombia situation is really upon us, and it gets really worrying at times when you realize how deep this is going and how far these criminal networks are reaching. I mean, when you look at the commission, I must say I was very skeptical about the commission, but now I'm starting to think, wow, we are going to learn things that might shock us even further. And it feels to me, now that we go through these early days from the 6th of December onwards, as that evidence starts to unravel, goodness knows what more we're going to learn.
Yeah, look, I was skeptical too. Said the commission is a waste of money, and I maintain my stance. By the way, I don't bite my tongue. But I knew one thing about commissions because I had seen it under the Zondo Commission. That one, none of these ANC criminals will be arrested. So Mchunu won't be arrested. Cyril won't be arrested. That I know. So if South Africans think, oh, people are going to be arrested, forget it. They're not going to be arrested. That I knew. But secondly, which the important thing about commissions in general, at least the public get to know. Because this stuff, it is happening before our eyes. We can see it. So the mere fact that we now know means that we can formulate our own judgments. That is the important thing about the Madlanga Commission. That is the important thing about the ad hoc committee in Parliament. We can no longer be fooled. We now know the ANC is a criminal organization working with criminal cartels. We now know that our state has been captured. What do we do about that as citizens is up to us. But at least we know.
Very true. And one of the things that is really emerging is the way that killings and murders are being used by these criminal and political alliances. This should really cause us to lose sleep at night. I mean, I was looking at a News 24 investigation of the CFO at Ekurhuleni. And not only was he murdered, but a finance person before him, I think, was murdered, and a person before that was shot and injured, and they survived. So 3 finance people in the same municipality have been targeted. We know about Babita Deokaran. I mean, murder is now being used as a weapon to just silence people.
Yeah, it goes back to the point I made earlier. We're Colombia now. And we are a dangerous Colombia because these criminals now kill auditors. I mean, Think of the message it sends to students at VETS, at UCT, who are studying accounting, who want to be auditors. They are now scared that we are going to be murdered. Our profession makes us the target of political criminals. So that's how deep our crisis is. Yeah. And let us not mince our words here. There is a political party behind these killings. It's the African National Congress.
Yeah.
So if you want to solve this problem, you cannot solve it while the ANC is still part of our governance system. We must take a stance as South Africans and say, this political criminal organization must be taken out of our governance system so that when we say we want to cleanse Ekurhuleni, these political criminals are not there to protect each other. That should be the beginning of everything, of a rebuilding of South Africa. But you are right. We have become a dangerous society. If you want to be safe today in South Africa, you need to have money and live in a gated estate and have private security. You need to have a firearm. You can no longer drive at night in South Africa from a restaurant, having a meal with your family, feeling safe. You must be home early. Our society, you can no longer walk in the township in the evenings, even in the rural areas. Rural areas are no longer safe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the ANC has broken South African society. It has criminalized our society. Every level of our society now has been criminalized by the ANC. So to fix it, as I said, we must be clear in our heads. The political party that has criminalized our society cannot be part of the solution. We must remove it completely from power. Then we can rebuild. If elements of it are still within our political system, we will not fix this country.
Does that mean thinking through a potential opposition unity government? Because ultimately, if we remove the ANC from power, what we have left is those opposition parties who make up the remainder. I asked Helen Ziller this question when she came on the podcast, and she said, under no circumstances will we work with the EFF and MK because they are the doomsday coalition. But at the end of the day, if the DA doesn't work with the EFF and MK and they want to remove the ANC from power, they're just not going to have the numbers to govern. So what are you thinking then? I fully agree with you, by the way. I think the political imperative at the moment is the ANC must be removed, because then you open a window of opportunity for true reform to filter in. You disrupt those networks, those criminal networks. But that may mean that you have to bite the bullet of a very shaky opposition coalition, which is very ideologically diverse. But my response to that, which is what I said to Helen Ziller, she disagreed, was it's shaky already. So, yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think beyond the political parties that are in parliament, I imagine that they're not there. In the first place, you can't build a future on the basis of factoring in Helen Ziller. Helen Ziller is in her 70s. She is not the future of South Africa. I'm worried about the future of my children. So I'm thinking of a scenario where educated, ethical South Africans, professionals outside politics, reach a moment where they realize that if they don't go and flood the political arena, their children will have no future. And you have people like you who take a stance and say, we can't leave this business to scoundrels. I have traveled across the country. I have attended meetings in the private sector, this and that. South Africa has talent. I'm telling you.
That's
we have loads and loads of talent. Here is the problem. The talented South Africans think that parliament, politics is the arena of scoundrels. We've got to change that so that the cream, our intellectual cream, must feel the obligation to rescue the future of their own children.
Sure.
So what I'm thinking, I'm not thinking about political parties now. I'm thinking about the character of leaders that we need.
Yeah.
And I ask myself, where are they? And the answer is, they are outside the political arena. They must wake up and they must feel the responsibility to go and take over the political arena. Let me give you an example. Because you could say this chap is talking theory. Think of the president of Botswana, Duma.
Yeah, sure.
The guy was a practicing lawyer. Young, talented, professional, is busy making money doing law. At some point, he realizes that his country has been reduced into seekers. This former president is fighting the current one. There's a whole mess. Then he decides with his friends, I'm sure they were sitting somewhere, and said, guys, how could we allow our country to be reduced to a seekers when we are educated and we're here? And when Duma said, I'm going to stand and I want to be president, people laughed and said, this guy is not going to make it. Today, he is president of Botswana. So I'm thinking of that kind of a renaissance.
Sure. Some kind of new movement.
New movement.
Yeah.
And don't think of political parties, because once you think of political parties, we say, no, I can't wear red overalls. Forget about red overalls or green this or blue that. Think about the country. The country doesn't have colors. And think about the character of leaders that we need. And I can assure you, from Limpopo to the Western, to Cape Town, we do have talent.
Yeah.
We just need to redirect that talent and say, guys, it is your responsibility to govern and rescue your country. That's how I'm looking at it. I don't worry about Helen Zille.
Sure. And I mean, we actually have a big election coming up pretty soon, which is in 2026. And that's going to, in many ways, reshape the character of our country. I think the ANC got sent a very loud and a very clear message in 2024, and they didn't listen to it. And I think South Africans are going to have to speak even louder and probably send an even more shocking message to the ANC in 2026.
Yeah, but here is the thing about that election. And I've watched this from 2016. That's when the change began in the Eastern Cape, the big metros, and coming to Gauteng.
Yeah.
Those changes have not improved municipal governance. That's the crux of it.
Yeah.
So go to the Eastern Cape, Nelson Mandela Bay, and ask yourself, since the coalition governments that have been coming in and out there, has the quality of life of a resident of that municipality improved? Refuse, is it being removed on time? Every time it's supposed to be water, electricity. You will find that this change hasn't led to the improvement of service delivery. That's the thing. So next year, I have no doubt the ANC will lose even more. But for as long as we've got this unstable coalition governments, you won't have an improvement in service delivery. But I am not saying the ANC, my message is that to move the ANC. I am realistic and I understand that this instability is a necessary part of a transition. We can't avoid it. We will have to stomach it as a country, and we go through it.
Yeah.
We now need to have a separate discussion about these municipalities and say, what kind of material human being do we need to be a councillor of a ward? We have not been talking about that, because you can remove the ANC and replace it with a loud mouth who is technically incompetent, who wears a different t-shirt. It's not going to help that ward.
Yeah.
So we must get to a point, even at a local level, and say, when we say councillor, what are we talking about? Are we talking about someone who has not gone to school, who is an activist who runs around, who makes a lot of noise? We must say, no. We need someone who has gone to school to be a ward councillor. Not someone who has studied theology. We've got enough priests. But someone who has studied a field that can improve governance. So we need to have that kind of discussion. Until and unless we have that kind of discussion, we will change t-shirts. but it will be the same quality. I mean, the quality of our councillors is very poor. I mean, I saw Cyril the other day saying to ANC councillors that they are worse. They must go and learn from the DA. He is right. But these councillors, by the way, are not necessarily ANC councillors. These are members of our communities. So it's not like they were manufactured by the ANC in some fact. The ANC gets them from those communities. So we must say, we don't need this poor quality of a council. That's the discussion we should have. Yes, the ANC is going to be removed in most of the municipalities next year, and it must be removed, and we must celebrate that.
And that will be quite an interesting political moment too, because it will have ramifications not just for local government, where we could see opposition parties becoming mayor if they do particularly well, but that's going to also change the calculus in terms of the national coalition. We've already seen how political parties can use local government to get leverage at the national level. We may see some kind of reset within the entire governance of the country after the election, because I suspect that opposition parties are going to be in a much stronger position to negotiate with the ANC.
No doubt about it. The ANC will be weaker. And that weaker platform will facilitate a complete exit of the ANC from our political system in 2029, which is good. That is going to happen. So in other words, in Johannesburg, that Demorero can go around and talking about clearing those informal traders and he thinks that's going to win him votes. It's not going to happen. Sane people are not going to vote that guy. The ANC will be weaker in the metros. The ANC will be weaker in all the municipalities. And in 2029, the ANC will get less than 20%. It will be, by the way, if it gets 15%, it will be very lucky with the current mess. So we are going through a phase where the ANC is being processed out. My worry is we are not having a substantive discussion as a country about the business, new business of our politics, number one. Number two, the quality of leadership. That is the stuff that we must preoccupy ourselves with, because if we don't address those two important components, we will be moving in circles and we will not be making progress. So parallel to removing the ANC, we must prepare for a future where we will never again be governed by incompetent idiots. Will never again be governed by uneducated human beings. Number three, we will have a clear national plan that is not convoluted. A 5-point plan. Criminals, political criminals, we're going to prioritize them. All of them are going to jail. Education, leadership, sound economic system that is driven by growth. So we need to be clear in terms of what the substance of the future would look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the GNU promised to at least create some semblance of stability. How are you assessing the performance of the GNU now that we are, 18 months into this experiment?
Look, it's in shambles. There's no doubt about it. Nobody knows whether it's going or coming. There is no policy. Can you imagine? There's no policy that has been adopted by the GNU and say
we've all just forgotten about the policy.
We met, we had a strategic retreat. We came back from the strategic retreat. We've got 8 points that we're going to address. None of that. As we speak, Ronald Lamula is in the UK making his own noises there. The DA doesn't own those noises. Gayton Mackenzie has no clue what this guy is saying in London. So the GNU has not been a coherent government.
Absolutely.
That's the crux of it. We had hoped that it's going to be a shock absorber. It was going to slow down the pace of looting. It has also failed to do so.
Completely.
You can see the circus that is going on in the criminal justice system, that the GNU has not even touched the surface. So the GNU has been good to John Steenhuisen. Now he's a minister, he's welfare-driven, he earns a fat salary. But in terms of improving anything in South Africa, I would argue it has not improved anything. Cyril has continued to deny. The criminals have continued to capture the state under Cyril.
Mashele
exactly. So to answer your question more precisely, there's been a huge disappointment.
Yeah, and it just feels like we're just spinning out of control. There's no accountability really, because everyone just thinks this GNU is the least worst option, and so there's nothing better that could possibly emerge than this mixed masala of political parties doing whatever they want.
Yeah, look, historically, South Africa has been, the political stability of South Africa historically has been undergirded by one political force. So for the past 76 years, South Africa has been governed by two parties, if you take the GNU out of the picture.
That's quite incredible, actually.
Two parties for 76 years. One, the National Party. It looks to me that if you want South Africa to be stable, at least from a historical perspective, you need one dominant political force that holds it together. Because the NP did that, the ANC did that for 30 years, and now the ANC has fallen apart. At some point, you will need a new political force that will take over the whole thing and control it politically. If you don't have one political force, you have fragmented political forces. The country is going to drift apart and unguided. That's what I'm sensing. The reason why I'm suggesting that is because I know that South Africa is a very complex country. You see, we are a nation of many nations. You know, there are people who would like to talk about we black people, right? It's an oversimplification. Black people are not one. You've got Zulus, you've got Xhosas, you've got Changans, you've got Tswanas, you've got Pedis. These people, by the way, live in different parts of the country. And these people don't have a sense that they are South Africans more than they are Zulus, or they are South Africans more than they are Vendas. They have a sense that they are Zulus, they are Vendas, they are Xhosas, and so on. So you need a force that is going to drag everyone, black and white, to the center. And that's what the National Party did to the whites. And they could do so because the National Party was a party of a majority among whites, Afrikaners. The ANC managed to pull most black people, almost all of us as black people, to the center. Now that the ANC has fallen apart, what I'm seeing is fragmentation. You can see that, you can say what you want to say about MK. In the main, it's a party of Zulus. It is predominantly a Zulu party that is strong in KZN and pockets of Mpumalanga and bits in Gauteng. It's not a party that pulls all of us together. So I think that you are right. We are drifting apart as a country. At some point, we'll need a force, a party that will bring all of us together. The last point I want to say is this. Such a party must not focus on one race. Because if it focuses on one race, it won't succeed. It needs to pull whites and blacks to the center. That's what made the ANC to succeed, by the way, because the ANC said South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. All the other parties that opposed the ANC on the black side of things, that said we are parties of black people, didn't succeed. The PSC didn't succeed. The Black Consciousness Movement didn't succeed. But the party that projected itself as a centrist party, and that is the ANC, succeeded. Even going into the future, we will need a party that will pull all of us to the center.
The danger, if we don't do that, is that this fragmentation deepens, and in fact we go into more and more enclaves, and actually powerful economic forces start to say, you know what, let's just invest in the enclave. So we'll keep people in gated communities, we'll keep people in different areas where you can get all your services, and everything outside that can fall apart, and we won't be touched.
We are almost there, by the way. We are almost there. I mean, if you look at the nature of our society, the rich have withdrawn from the public space. They have created a private sub-state where they've got their educational institutions, they are well-functioning hospitals, they are properly coordinated security companies, they have better ammunition than the public sector. So the rich have created a buffer that protects them from the chaos that is the public state. What follows politically it's the fragmentation of political parties along tribal lines. So you'll have a party for Zulus, like the MK, for example. You'll have a party for vendors, a party for Shangans. So once you have that, it's going to be extremely difficult to pull South Africa together. This thing that we call South Africa, which is a very delicate political construct, will cease to exist. And once it ceases to exist, all manner of opportunities, by the way, domestic and international, will come in and take what they want. So if you are an international criminal, you'll come to South Africa and distribute drugs. If you are a foreign government, you want our gold, our platinum, you will come in here and grab what you want. So it is extremely important for us never to allow the fragmentation to widen further. It's in all our interests for us to have a center that holds. And that center must be legitimate in the sense that everyone must feel that they have a stake in that center. No one must feel that they are not part of it. The Indians must feel they have a stake in it. The colors must feel they have a stake in it. The whites must feel they have a stake in it. The blacks must feel they have a stake in it. That is the strategic challenge that is facing our political system.
Looking forward, there's still a lot more to come with this Mkhwanazi saga. Is there any testimony that you're particularly looking forward to? Begicele is coming up soon. Who would you like to see in that witness stand?
It's Sir Ramaphosa. I'd like to see Sir Ramaphosa being grilled by the lead investigators. He's the guy. Because he's the guy at the top. All of the people who are talking about Mchunu, Begicele, these are guys at the low level. I want to know, does Sir Ramaphosa know Ket Matlala? Has he interacted with Ket Matlala?
Are there any pictures?
Are there any pictures of Ket Matlala? We've seen the pictures of Sir Ramaphosa and Maumela. We now know they are related.
At his house,
So we as a society, we need to make that clear connection between Sir Ramaphosa, who is at the top, and his top criminals. And then the whole book can be closed, because Mchunu and them are chapters. The entire book is about our government that has been captured by the criminals. And the man who is at the helm of our government and our state is Sir Ramaphosa. I cannot wait to see him being grilled.
You know, I saw something reported in the Sunday Times which made me extremely worried, where government sources were quoted as saying, Ramaphosa will testify, but his testimony has to be in secret because because there are national security concerns. I think that's the next phase that Ramaphosa is trying to move into. No, I'll testify, but not in public.
That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. The president is the head of our state. Our state is in crisis. Remember, these testimonies are not meant for Madlanga. These testimonies are meant for the population of South Africa. If he forgets that and he thinks that he can use his finger, he can hide behind his finger, he will be making a big mistake. He is not the president of Madlanga. He's the president of South Africa. So we as the citizens, we want to see our president facing us. And
finally,
and answering the questions we have while we watch. He was not voted by Madlanga. So he will be making a terrible mistake if he thinks that he has a big finger, he can hide behind his finger.
And the Concourt Phala judgment is it's nearly a year now. We haven't heard from the court.
No, don't worry about Phala. I said before, Phala will not die. Phala at some point will resurface and he will go to jail on the basis of Phala. He thinks it's off the hook. No. Power doesn't last long. 10 years is not a long time in politics. At some point, he will be out of politics. There will be no one to protect him. And I can tell you, that new force that will be in charge will unleash the criminal justice system to do its work, because now the criminal justice system's hands are tied. And he will answer for Phala. So that is coming. We just need to be patient about it.
I fully agree with you about the testimony that you're looking forward to. I would even go a step further, because I think the president needs to come soon. There's this idea that no, he'll come at the end, or we first need to hear from. I think I can't think of anyone we more need to hear from than him right now.
No. I agree, by the way, that he must wait. He must come at the end. Because all of these people, all of these actors must go there and say what they know. The final man who must answer for the whole of government is the president. He must come last, because the danger of him coming soon is that whatever he says may be contradicted by a later witness, and it will be complicated to bring him back again. So let's exhaust every witness in preparation for his final appearance, so that there is no question that he can't answer, or he will say, maybe let's wait so and so, when they come here they will answer. Let everyone come through, and then he must be the final man, and he must answer for everything that that has been circulated before he came through. That's my view.
It's an interesting perspective. We just need to sit tight and be patient for a while.
Let's just have popcorns and those who are into wine, just grab a glass of wine.
There's plenty of popcorn to still eat.
And relax. The movie is unfolding.
That's for sure. Well, sir, thank you so much for joining us once again. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Yusuf, for inviting me.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Keep it locked on SMWX. Help us reach our next milestone of 400,000 subscribers. Can we beat the 1 million episode? Let's get this episode to 1 million, and make sure you keep it locked on SMWX. We've got interviews, we've got analysis coming your way. We're live streaming these commissions, and we are building a credible, alternative, independent media platform that is gaining in influence, all because you keep showing us your support. So please keep doing that. See you on the next one. Like, share, subscribe. Aye.